And in the season finale, Joel and Ellie make their way to Salt Lake City, and it's really the last hope they have to meet the Fireflies. If the Fireflies aren't in Salt Lake, then they don't know where to go. On top of it, Ellie is clearly not herself, and Joel is doing everything in his power to cheer her up, but it's just not working. I'm talking pointless conversations, jokes, anything to get her mind off of it, but Ellie's mind is clearly elsewhere. The normally chatty Ellie is just short on words. She's still very shaken about what happened with the cannibals. She can't shake it. It's not like she's being rude to Joel. She's answering his questions. She's trying to be nice, but every time she closes her eyes, she just thinks about what she endured. The fact that they tried to kill her, the fact that they tried to rape her, and the fact that they were willing to eat her. It's a lot for a 13-year-old to handle. A couple hours later, they get to downtown Salt Lake. They're going to have to find a skyscraper, head up, and look around to find out where exactly they are. They find a building that's tall enough. They head inside, and when Ellie heads up, she yells, "Joel, you got to see this." Of course, Joel is thinking the worst, but when he heads up to see where Ellie is, he's shocked because she is a few feet away from a giraffe, chomping on some leaves. It must have escaped from the local zoo, and she's never seen anything like it. This is also the first time since they were back at the college that Ellie seems like her old self. The two of them start feeding the giraffe together, and Ellie is all smiles. When the giraffe walks away, they head up to the roof, and they see outside, and there's a bunch of giraffes. They've overtaken what looks to be an old baseball field. As they look around for where this hospital is, Joel has a sneaking suspicion that something bad's going to happen. And he has this suspicion because on their journey, something bad has happened every step of the way. He wants to give Ellie the option of going to this hospital. The other choice they have is turning around and going back to Jackson. Ellie thinks about it and says, "No. After all we've been through and everything I've done, it can't be for nothing. When we're done here, I'll follow you anywhere you go, but there's no halfway with this. We have to finish what we started." They make their way out into the street, and what they're really in is a Fedra medical pop-up. Joel tells Ellie that he was actually in one of these when he got shot. The same scar that he has on his head, they treated it in one of these. But then he reveals who the person was that shot him. It wasn't a shooter, it was him. He explains that after Sarah died, he just couldn't fathom living without her. So he tried to commit suicide. He flinched, gun went off. Ellie's really surprised about this. She had no idea, and she says, "Wow, I guess time heals all wounds, huh?" But Joel turns to her and says, "It wasn't time," looking her square in the eye. While he doesn't say it, they both know that the thing that filled the void in Joel's heart was Ellie. They continue to walk down the street, reading some of the jokes from the pun book, and then all of a sudden they trigger a bomb that goes off. They're pretty disoriented and they're scooped up. But it's not by raiders, it's by fireflies. They're dragged back to a hospital, and when Joel wakes up, the first question he has is, "Where's Ellie?" And it's Marlene who is standing there and lets him know that Ellie is fine. She didn't even have a scratch on her. It was Joel who was the one who was really messed up. Marlene is absolutely floored he made it this far. She says, "We lost half our crew traveling over here. How the hell did you guys make it?" Joel takes no credit for it, saying it was all Ellie. But Marlene knows that if it wasn't for Joel, she would have died a long time ago. She tells Joel that he was the one person she never wanted to be indebted to, but she really owes him. He doesn't care about any of that, though. He just wants to see her. And Marlene says, "I can't. She's being prepped for surgery." That's when Joel gets the bad news. Ellie's being prepped for surgery because their doctors believe the cure is in Ellie's brain. He's going to remove the cells in her brain, reproduce them, and then they have a cure. But this would mean Ellie making the ultimate sacrifice. Joel's stunned by this. He can't believe that Marlene is willing to sacrifice Ellie. He says find somebody else, but she says there is nobody else. We didn't let her know about this. She won't feel any pain. But Joel gets even more pissed off hearing this. In a last-ditch effort, Joel says, "Please, you don't understand." And Marlene says, "No, I do. I was there when she was born, Joel." And that is a fact. Marlene was best friends with Ellie's mom. When Ellie's mom was just about to give birth, she was waiting on Marlene and the rest of the Fireflies to come get her. But she was attacked and bitten. Right before she turned, she gave birth to Ellie. So cordyceps was in the bloodstream. It's the whole reason why Ellie is immune. That knife that Ellie carries around, it's her mother's. Her mother's last dying wish was to Marlene, to take her in and make sure she would be safe. So Marlene doesn't make this decision just on a whim. This is difficult for her too, but she knows that she's doing it for the betterment of everybody. Joel, however, does not see it like that. Marlene knows this and knows he could be a distraction. So she has 2 henchmen escort Joel out, but he's not going quietly. He kills both of them, takes their gun, and slowly makes his way through the hospital, killing anyone in his path, until eventually he does get to the operating room. He gets to the doctor just before he's about to do the surgery, and he kills him, taking Ellie and heading to the parking garage. Ellie is completely unconscious when they get to a car that looks to be running, but he's stopped by Marlene. She has Joel and Ellie at gunpoint, and she says, "You can't keep her safe forever, no matter how hard you try. Eventually, she's going to die because she lives in a broken world that you could have saved." Joel nods and says, "Maybe, but it isn't for you to decide." And Marlene shoots back, "Or you." Even though he's holding Ellie, though, Joel also has a gun in his hand. Marlene can't see it, and he shoots her. He puts Ellie in the back of a car and then walks over to finish Marlene off. She begs him to stop, but he says, "You just come after her," and he shoots her. A couple hours later, when they're long gone from Salt Lake City, Ellie wakes up in the back of the car. She's pretty confused on what she's doing there. Joel lies to her. He tells her that they were running some tests on her, but also other people, and turns out there's a whole lot of people like her. Turns out there's about 12 people that are immune, but the doctors couldn't make anything work. Because of this, they've stopped looking for a cure. Joel drives and drives until eventually that car gives way, but it does die out in Wyoming. Now it's just a matter of walking to Jackson. After a little bit of a hike, they're just on the cusp. Before they go any further, Ellie has to get something off her chest. She wants to tell Joel about the first time that she killed somebody, because up until this point, she said she did it, but she never actually told the full story. The full story about what happened with her and Riley. As Joel is trying to tell her, "That's not your fault," she cuts him off and says, "Swear to me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true." And Joel says, "I swear." Ellie looks him in the eye and does believe him. The two then head off to forge a new life in Jackson. And that is the end of The Last of Us. Thank you so much for getting this point of the recap. I really appreciate it. Please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Hit thumbs up if you like this. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. I have a Patreon. I have merch. I have a bunch of ways that you guys can give me money. The one thing I don't want you to give me is nasty comments. Be nice in the comment section. Nasty comments make me feel bad. Let me know what you thought of this series. It's hard for me to imagine anyone not liking it, but if you didn't, let me know why. And I will see you back here for Season 2.